Hi, I'm Sue Perlgut, and welcome to Pegasus Presents. Today, I'm here with Eric Lehman in part 2 of our interview. Last time we spoke, Eric was talking about his experience with homelessness when he was a senior in high school and what that has led him to create out of his own experience. And that is his organization, Dream Catalyst, and his idea that is called Homeless to Honolulu. And Eric is going to tell us just briefly a little bit, just recap a teeny bit about homelessness and Homeless to Honolulu, and then we're going to talk more about homelessness and youth. Eric, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's great to be here so quickly. Yeah, just to recap, I mean, this is one of the most amazing journeys I've ever been part of, and one of the things that I know I get to do for the rest of my life is encourage children of all ages, including me, to dream bigger dreams and to just go for them, live full out. And one of the reasons that I get to do that is that I experienced homelessness when I was a child, and a lot of miracles came my way that held my dreams intact and allowed me to center and train and become the person that I'm here today talking about, and I will always be a dreamer, and now, because of the things that I've done in my life, I get to show people and model what it means to live into your dreams. And there's no better group of people that I'd like to model to, for, and with than youth facing homelessness. One of the things that I know, of having worked in homeless advocacy for many years, sometimes as a volunteer and sometimes professionally, that some kids don't even know that they're homeless. Some kids who are couch surfing at different friends' house, they're going from one couch for 3 weeks here and then another relative here. It's just a very weird state of being, when I was able to concentrate on my education and concentrate on being a student and being in theater and being a singer. Other kids right now are worrying where they're going to eat and where they're going to sleep next week. And I can't imagine going to school thinking that, that I don't even know what I'm up to, and I don't even know what if my dream has a home, because I don't even know where I'm going to live next week.
And I don't even know that I can dream, that I'm allowed to dream.
Right.
That's not even part of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, permission to dream is one of the first things that I think is underspoken of when someone becomes homeless. When you're thrown away or you run away or you've kind of fallen through a crack in some way, many people in the service world will try to give you food, clothing, and shelter. And these are all great things, and I have nothing against food, clothing, and shelter. But one of the worries that most people go into those situations with is, what about my dream? I was born to do something. I was born to make a contribution to this planet. What about that? I don't want to accept handouts the rest of my life. I don't want to become codependent on anyone else. And I've got something inside me that's special, that's unique to me, that has every right to come out. But yet there's something inside me, there's a voice that says I don't deserve that. And my job for the rest of my life is to make sure kids know that they don't have to listen to that voice, that there's someone else that believes in them when they might not believe in themselves. And right now, that's me. Right now, that's what Dream Catalyst is mostly about. My belief is that through mentoring and intentional celebration, many things are more possible. I believe that, mentoring is such a beautiful thing. Right when I was homeless in the early 90s, there was a researcher named Bonnie Bernard, and she spoke of resiliency in youth. And she did all these amazing, not really experiments, but she just analyzed a whole bunch of different data about kids who are in the at-risk category. And what she learned was that there was one factor that separated the kids who made it from the kids who didn't make it. And I don't fully know what her definition of making it versus not making it, but she said that the kids who made it, the thing that was different about them is that they could identify one person who believed in them, and that was it. Like, there were other protective factors, but like that was the cream that boiled to the top, and that was the differentiating factor. So when I read that research some years later, I said, I could be that one person. You know, I know one to one. I know I can do that. I know I can believe in someone until they can believe into themselves. So that's really the foundation of what Dream Catalyst is. It's just being that one person over and over again in a lifelong, committed way. One of the things I'm trying to create is something that I like to refer to as social DNA. And what I mean by that is I believe that dreams are very amazing things in that we're always on someone else's dream path, you know? And once we can identify someone who is like one rung of the ladder above us and one rung of the ladder below us, then we know, you know, where we can be both inspired to grow, and we can also serve as inspiration for someone else. So one of the things that I love about this opportunity with Dream Catalyst is that I want to create things called mentoring triads, where actually instead of these pairs that happen in organizations, or in addition to the pairs that are happening in organizations like Big Brother, Big Sister, and other youth mentoring organizations, there are triads. So each mentor also has a mentee and also has a mentor. So it's a way of creating this social DNA that's an upward spiral that that just allows communities to come together in support of dreams, which I think are the most amazing pieces of energy that we have yet to fully tap into on this planet. So that's really one of the big foundations of what Dream Catalyst is all about. Is saying food, clothing, and shelter are great, but you got to nourish the dream. You got to just add one layer and challenge Maslow's hierarchy of needs and say, you know what? Perhaps it's not linear. Perhaps you don't have to be, you know, safe and all these other things before you get to self-actualization, before you get to talk about your dreams. Perhaps if someone walked into a youth shelter and could sit down and talk to a counselor or talk to a mentor and know that their dream was that mentor's first priority, then you got something there. Like there's potential for growth and safety. So one of the things that we like to say at Dream Catalyst is we're creating a home for every dream and eventually a bed for every dreamer. So you know, we understand that the dreamer needs to feel safe and the dreamer needs to have a place to sleep and call home. But the focus is really making sure that the dream has a place to flourish and feel valid and deserving.
And besides yourself, are you working with other people in Dream Catalyst? Do you have a core of people who are being mentors, and how does that work?
It's a great question. I mean, it's growing every day. You know, one of the things I love about this walk is, you know, just as a person, I've always been intrigued by what made someone go down whatever professional path they've gone down. So as I walk in this world and I get to share what I do with others who are professors, who are, you know, marketing experts, who are photographers, who, you know, just are in this world, everyone who is passionate about what they do, they say, yeah, of course I would share, of course I would serve as a mentor. So one of the things that we're trying to do is just build a nationwide database of people who are living into their own dreams so that they can eventually figure out where they are in this social DNA. So yeah, we've got you know, some student interns that are helping to craft that database right now, and that's exciting. We've got a whole bunch. We've got Wells College, who is starting its own chapter of Dream Catalyst, and that's really exciting. And you know, this is a very organic process. So right now it's in the dream phase. It's definitely real because I put it out there. One of the manifestations of Dream Catalyst right now is a focus on running, is the idea of transforming, your own life through training for a marathon. And that marathon is going to be December 9th, in December in Honolulu. And the idea of deciding what your own dream is, deciding what your own life course is going to be, is such a powerful experience. In the service world, I make a big differentiation between service for and service with. So Dream Catalyst is solely a service with organization. And what I mean by that is we don't tell you what we want you to do. We ask you what you need and how we can support you. So for some, it's just basically telling them, you know what? You have every right to dream and your dream is valid. For others, they want a mentor. And for at least 10 people, hopefully this year, we're going to live into a collective dream and we're going to cross the finish line of the Honolulu Marathon. And who knows? I mean, it could be 10 this year, 100 next year, and who knows how it'll grow. I just know that there are a lot of homeless dreams out there right now. And I think what it means to be homeless is not necessarily how we, in the service industry, define homelessness. I think there's a huge difference right now between houselessness and homelessness. And so what I concentrate on is the idea that there are many people currently, even with housing, that don't feel like their dream has a home. And that's where I get to expand the net, cast a wider net, and serve with a whole bunch more people. So what I'm excited about is finding really passionate people who are passionate about what they're already doing, who want to share that spark with someone else who's coming along the way, and then keep that energy rolling. So it's a really powerful part of what I get to do.
So the youth that you meet, some of them probably don't even know they can dream. How do you go about even having them understand there could be a dream? Because they're just, as you say, they need a place to sleep, they need something to eat. Who knows what kind of abuse may have gone on. So how do you work with youth to help them understand dreaming is possible?
Well, there's no one way of doing that, and I think the first part of any one-to-one mission is meeting someone where they are, and like I said, serving with is just a whole bunch of questions. First, it's basically, saying, what is real for you right now, and what do you believe is possible? And I'm kind of blessed in that, when I ask a question, somehow a wall comes down, and somehow kids who have never trusted anyone sharing their dreams all of a sudden find a way of opening up. And I know some of that gift is because they know I've been there, and once you can meet someone eye to eye who's walked a mile in your shoes or run a mile in your shoes, there's a trust that's built, and I believe it's possible, with people who are, may not have experienced life in a youth shelter. It's just, it's also important to include youth who have been there, and for some, the only way to break down those walls is with authentically shared experience. And so that's my unique qualification, because I've been there, I get to ask these questions, and I get to say, I've lived into this dream, and for a long, long time, I didn't think I deserved it. When I first said to myself, I'm going to go to Honolulu and run this marathon, there was so much energy coming my way saying, really, Eric? That's a little arrogant, that's a little extravagant. Why would you, spend the dollars to go to Honolulu when kids are starving? when kids don't have homes. You know, why couldn't you use those dollars to help subsidize the rent for someone, you know, who's doubling up or living on a floor somewhere? And that was a really big moment, you know, where I had to say, you know what, if I don't do this, the best I can do is help create a generation of martyrs, people who will sacrifice their own dreams for the future generation of people who are willing to sacrifice their own dreams. And then where does it end? You know, I think it ends now. I know it ends now. You know, me living into my own dream and seeing Honolulu with my own eyes, no one can take that away from me now. I know that. I walk with that every day. I wear this shirt because it says finisher, you know, and it's like a Superman belt, you know. It gives me an extra lift to my day, and it lets me know that anything's possible from anywhere. And so, you know, like the point is we don't live in scarcity. We actually live with abundance that we don't even know is here. And I think that was the other big moment in my career in advocacy. I used to do things called sleep outs, where I would take a whole bunch of housed people and I would expose them to an evening of homelessness. This is what it could be like, you know, and I would hope that it would snow so that, you know, people would get a deeper experience. Like, there's no snow date for homelessness, you know, and I would want them to just really, you know, be chilled to the core, so they knew that this was a really cold and lonely experience. And then one day last year, I was waking up, you know, getting ready for, you know, to help Ithaca College, Habitat for Humanity, do their sleep out, and I was like, I'm doing this a little wrong here, you know. I'm spreading scarcity, you know. Here I am teaching housed people what homelessness is like. What I really want to do for the rest of my life is show youth who face challenges, including homelessness, what abundance is like. And that's where Honolulu just like flashed into my heart and said, that's it, you know. If I can be responsible for getting youth to lean into their dreams, and if their dream is to cross the finish line of a marathon, then by golly, we're gonna do it in Honolulu. We're gonna do it in style, we're gonna show up, and you're gonna see the happiest youth this planet has ever seen cross the finish line at one of the most beautiful places that my heart has ever seen.
So clearly this is a lot more than about running, no matter what it does for you or how it helps you. This is really about dreaming big. This is not, okay, we'll run, there are marathons in Ithaca, you know, we'll do that. But this is something big, and if we can do this, if we can go to Honolulu, what else can you do in your life? That's really the message, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about possibility, and the possibilities through the lenses of having run a marathon in Honolulu are just different. You know, I still don't yet, I mean, I'm a national speaker, you know, and I still don't have the words for what happened when I crossed the finish line in Honolulu. I still can't come up with what it did inside me. It's just, it's the sense of, like, just knowing that there aren't really no limits, and that every limit that we put on ourselves is truly self-imposed. And if we believe that we are a miracle on this planet and that we were born for a reason, then it's just time for that reason to come out and shine. So I mean, when I was in the shelter, I saw just rays of light. You know, I saw these kids who were amazing. You know, and one time I had the opportunity to celebrate one of my youngest friends' birthdays, and that was an eye-opening moment, you know, because he was 11 and I was 17.
So 11-year-old boy was in the shelter with you.
Yeah.
What were the ages of the youth in that shelter?
Somewhere, I mean, at that moment, it was like, I guess, 10 or 11 to 17. 17 was the oldest you could be and still call yourself, you know, a youth at that moment. I mean, right now, youth is defined as under 25. So I think some programs are changing. But for me, you know, I was the oldest I could have been to still qualify for living in that shelter. And he was, I think, the youngest he could have been, Mikey was. So, and Mikey was amazing. He had a mouth that just never stopped going for the entire time I knew him. The first, after my intake, after I got introduced to my roommate Chris, Mikey just kind of followed me around and just started talking, and he was also like sarcastic. He was also like, but he looked like the Mikey from Life cereal, So he's adorable but sarcastic. So it was just like this weird disconnect. And a week into our friendship, I said, "Hey, Mikey, why are you here?" And that's when he stopped talking. And I'm like, oh boy. And I knew like something was about to happen. And he just took off his shirt, and he showed me what was like a constellation of cigarette burns on his back. And he just said, "My mom's boyfriend uses me like an ashtray, and until he can figure out how not to do that, I'm going to be here." And I was like, wow, that was a big moment for me to see as a 17-year-old. And I knew right at that moment that I had to see that. Like I never regretted my time in the shelter. I never looked at it as a sob story. I looked at it as something that was guided. I needed to experience that. I needed to see that world. And now that I've lived the life that I've been able to live, I need to come back and reach out for those kids.
So Mikey was turning 11, I think
he
said?
was about to turn 12.
About to turn 12, and
Yeah.
you...
Yeah. I wore this thing called the Baja, this Mexican burlap-y, hoodie. And I wore this like almost every day in the shelter. So if you could imagine what living in a shelter and wearing the same garment, what that garment might smell like after a good 40-day, 50-day stay. So anyway, Mikey loved it. That's why I wore it so frequently. He just loved seeing me in it. And as I told in the earlier story, when my best friend's folks took me in, one of the first things that happened is someone threw all of my laundry into the washing machine. And then I came home from school that evening, and I just took everything from the washing machine and put it in the dryer. And the funny thing about
Another lesson you learned.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of long lessons in life, but some of them were spiritually guided. So this is the same time where I'm just like, I had learned that Mikey's birthday was coming up. I still had no idea how to celebrate it and get anything to recognize him, but I knew I wanted something special. And so I, 3 days before Mikey's birthday, was when my best friend's folks took me in. And that night, so much laundry was done. And so I took every bit of my wash, put it into the dryer, and this Baja came out, went in to the dryer Eric size, and it came out perfectly Mikey size. So of course, like not many kids, go to the dryer and see their clean clothes and start crying, but like I'm here shaking, like seeing this Baja saying, oh, I now know what to give Mikey for his birthday. So I went to visit the shelter every day, for a really long time. After my friends' folks took me in and called me their son. And it was a Thursday when it was his birthday, and I wrapped up this Baja, and I got to the shelter doorway, and there he was standing in the doorway. And it became really clear to me that I was the only one he trusted with his birthday. And it was such a special moment. It was such an honor to be able to share that moment with him, knowing that he trusted me enough with. And birthdays for kids in shelters, they're kind of interesting days. They could go either way. And so you kind of pick and choose who you would actually trust with the information as to when your birthday actually is. So for Mikey to share that with me and for me to come through, it really planted a seed in my heart. One of the things that I say in this work is that, kids in youth shelters do really well on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but there are 363 days that are also in play. And one of the most important days of those 363 is your birthday. And how great would it be to create an intentional celebration for those kids, and not necessarily just for, but with those kids, and actually know what they're about, know what sort of party would make them feel truly recognized and truly celebrated for who they are, and not just to go to like a warehouse where there are presents and say, oh, Joey, age 7, let's go to the Joey age 7, rack, or the age 7 rack, for a boy, and, randomly pick a gift. But what if I actually knew enough about Joey to say, no, this is what Joey needs? And so that's the other big special part of what Dream Catalyst gets to do, is we get to make birthday celebrations happen. And I'm so happy to talk about those because the community here in Ithaca has made it possible for us to celebrate, kids at the Ithaca Youth Bureau and the bowling alley at Helen Newman, and, Loaves and Fishes. We actually had a celebration at Loaves and Fishes. So, I mean, there's so many ways of celebrating. It's just been unbelievable.
That's great. I think birthdays are very important. I've never been homeless, but I really believe in birthdays, and I think that it's a wonderful thing and such a concrete and practical thing to do to start with kids, because celebrating the day you're born just seems to me to be extremely important. We just have a couple of minutes left, and there's still so much more to say. I would say very quickly, if you could look 21 years ahead in the future, what do you see as a result of happening for Dream Catalyst? And you have 1 minute, Eric,
Wow.
to say this.
Well, here's the quote that drives me, is that there are 2 very important days in anyone's life, is the day you were born and the day you know why. And so to answer that question as to what Dream Catalyst, or what the impact of Dream Catalyst is going to be, is that there are going to be a lot more people on this planet knowing why they were born, and a lot more people on this planet celebrating the when they were born. And that's what I hope my contribution to be.
Well, Eric, thank you again for this wonderful half hour. I would say that if you want to know more about Eric, if you want to know more about Dream Catalyst, and after this you must, you should go to www.dream-catalyst.org. It's on the screen. And read more about Eric, read more about the work he's doing, and contact him, join in with him, and become a Dream Catalyst yourself. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you
It's
so
been a
much.
pleasure.
This is great. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.